The last thought I had before drifting to sleep was how excited I was to finally be going on a proper road trip. I've driven for a few hours here and there for vacation. I've even taken a decent 10-plus hour trip, but never truly had a road trip. Me and my wife are driving from the Midwest, all the way to sunny California. I've spent some time there in my youth and always wanted to go back. Enjoy the beauty and the weirdness of the Venice Beach, eat a Dodger dog at Chavez Ravine, take a normie Hollywood Stars double-decker bus tour across Beverly Hills. We're going to travel to NorCal too. See the Golden Gate, see that crooked road, and of course see the house where the Tanners lived. Rest in peace, Danny Tanner. No Rain by the Blind Melons started playing on one of those serious 90s channels. "Oh wow, I love this song," my wife blurted out. I, of course, knew that already. "And we caught it when it started," she said. This again, I also knew. She's not superstitious at all, the least superstitious person I've ever known. But she has this one thing. If No Rain comes on when she's flipping channels, or in the middle of a TV commercial or something, she cannot listen to it. It must start at the beginning where it's bad luck. Hey, we all have our thing, right? Seeing how happy she was, I drifted off. "Enjoy your prize, hun. I'm gonna nod off for a few." She barely acknowledged me, which was fine. I was happy she was happy. My eyelids stayed closed, like a curtain after a successful Broadway show. When I awoke several hours later, I wiped the sleep from my eyes. I always pictured that childlike way of making little fists and rubbing my eyes, but I did it the adult way, just full-on rubbing my face with my open palms. I thought I had been out for about an hour. It was nearing dusk when I drifted off. I knew we were in the area of Missouri or Kansas, boring flat land. The pinkish-red sky was calming, soothing somehow. But when I woke up, the sky was cloudless and bright blue, a blue I'd never seen before. I didn't feel like I'd slept through the night. Groggily, I took in my surroundings. Still driving, the wife was at the wheel. "Oh my goodness, I adore this song," she said. Blind Melon was on the radio. I know," I stated. "How did this song start again? Did I just happen to wake up when this song randomly started playing again, hours later?" A tiny, uncomfortable pit the size of a walnut appeared in my stomach, just behind my belly button. Things were about to become serious. "What time is it?" I asked. She slid eyes to me, not wanting to take her focus off the road. "It's 7 o'clock, hon. You were only out for a few minutes." Confused, but chalking it up to that confusion of the heavy power nap, I looked out my window at the endless plains. I saw mountains, though. Mountains made of metal. No, that can't be right. I can only describe them as shiny metallic. What year is it? She furrowed her brow and snorted. "It's 2025, babe. Same year it was when we started this trip about a dozen hours ago." Now I was rigid. That's not right. We started the trip 3 years before, in the current year of 2022. I decided not to say anything. I didn't know what to say. That little walnut pit in my stomach grew to a watermelon. She gave me a playful push on the shoulder and continued to sing Blind Melon. She then looked over at me, giving me a little smile with her tongue out. She'd done this particular gesture thousands of times during our relationship. Her eyes were piercing blue. The problem was, her eyes are hazel. They were always hazel. Or were hazel, I suppose. "What happened to your eyes? Are you okay? Do you need me to drive?" I must have had a panicked expression that I did not intend to portray. She looked instantly worried. "I'm fine, hon. Are you okay? Maybe you had too many Slim Jims or something." She laughed. As she finished singing the song, the DJ came on. That was 1979's #1 hit, No Rain by Blind Melon. What a voice of a generation. Shannon Hoon, still kicking after all these years. We have an exclusive interview with the man who produced so many hits and famously joined the Beatles a few years later, replacing John Lennon, who left for, well, we all know the reason. Stay tuned, folks. In the meantime, enjoy the brand new Weezer hit. I think the band is going to be huge. What the hell was this? Shannon Hoon died of an overdose in '95, and he certainly never joined the most famous band in the world. "We're at our first stop," my wife said, breaking me from the mental panic. Our Jeep rumbled to a stop. I saw the black motel in front of me. "What is this?" I said. "It's where we're going to sleep for the first night on our road trip, silly. Don't pretend you're not excited to finally stay here." I pretended to know what the hell she was talking about, and said something to affirm that. This place was horrendous. It was foreboding and smelled like bad cheese. I took our bags out, all the while keeping focus on the front of this castle. It reminded me of Skeletor's fortress from He-Man. The inside was surprisingly nice. Looked like any Holiday Inn across the United States. After a few drinks that we brought from 2022, I hope, we did some married things, and then decided to order takeout and see what was on the hotel TV. She said she was pretty beat after driving all day and wanted to take a quick nap. I thought that was a great idea. That will give me some time to go online and see where the hell I was or what time I was in. I stood at the elevator, pushing the down button. What looked like a father and a daughter trotted from one of the hallways, stopping near me. I turned to acknowledge them with a polite smile and a head nod. Upset doesn't really begin to describe how I felt when I looked at them. They looked like humans, but just off a bit. The eyes were too wide, the nose was too small, the ears were almost non-existent. When the elevator opened, they entered, and I froze. The father held his arm out in front of the door to save it for me. I fished for my phone and pretended to take a call. I politely gave him that, "Thanks, but I have to go. Over here, look." He shrugged and let the door close. At that moment, I noticed my heart was pumping through my chest. It was only then that that same heart almost broke through my ribcage. I noticed the phone I had in my hand was a 2000s era flip phone, not even a razor. I looked at it like it was a medieval device. I slowly pulled the antenna out, and I opened it and closed it. I studied the drab gray. I stared at the abysmal display screen. What year was it? I burst through the stairwell and made my way down to the lobby. Our floor was only on the second floor, so I wasn't totally out of breath. But I did, however, throw up when I got outside. The only time, mind you, that I'd thrown up without being drunk or actually sick. Luckily, I've never been a puker. I slowly and cautiously entered our room, with a key card, just like 2022. My wife was thankfully asleep. I needed to go sit down. I was nauseous, and my stomach felt like two grizzly bears were trying to tear it apart from opposite sides. I decided to step back outside, just to make sure my wife got complete silence for a bit longer. I slumped down in the hallway outside our door. Let's go over what happened. I took a road trip nap. When I woke up, 3 years had passed. Little things have changed, but they were huge. The blind melon thing, the people I saw whose faces were just slightly off. I had a mother-freaking flip phone, and, again, not even a razor. As that thought left me, my pocket buzzed. Stupid phone. I flipped it open, again feeling a little cool, I had to admit. It was satisfying to gracefully flip open the first cell phone to take a phone call. Even better was slamming them shut after a phone call. You can't hang up the phone like you used to. It turned out it was a text message. I read it slowly. The blocky characters were from the other time. Figuratively and quite literally. Don't go back to the room. I can't see how that's a good thing. This isn't even my phone. This isn't my time. What is all this? I froze for what seemed like a lifetime. I had a single thought. Text back. So I did. I struggled with the old way for a moment, forgetting how to use the text buttons. Ah yes, the world where keyboards were not shrunk down to a 4-inch dimension. If you wanted to text the letter S in any word, you had to hit the number 7 like 24 times. It made it simple, as my mind was already melting down the back of my spine. Who is this? I pecked. Your wife. We won't make. My skin went cold. I think it turned blue. Won't make what? I keyed the door open again, stumbling into the main room. She was gone. The bed was made, this time with a yellow comforter, set to look right out of the Brady Bunch. Okay, now it's panic time. I texted back furiously. I called, which didn't work at all. Didn't even get a busy signal or a dial tone. Getting seriously worried and hyperventilating, I dropped my phone. When I went to pick it up, I heard a voice. Hey kid, you okay? Kid. When I finally grabbed my phone, I pulled my arm back like I just stuck it in a campfire. My arm was small, like a child's. At that moment, I looked up at the voice I heard. I looked up. I wasn't an adult. The old woman that asked me was towering over me. Feeling sick again, I stumbled backwards, tripping over my feet over and over again. It was like that meme from the internet, when the internet was around, where people just kept falling down the escalator. When I finally gained my footing, I slammed into a newspaper machine. I don't know what else to call it. You used to put quarters in, and you would pull a newspaper thing out that told you the day's date and the news from last night. The Uncanny Valley Times, May of no year. The slogan, bringing you the most trusted news, just a bit off. What could that mean? Buzz. Good evening, everyone. It's me, Dr. Plague. Thank you so much for joining me for tonight's story. I hope you enjoyed the works of Leo of Alexandria from Reddit. I see there are a few more stories on his profile, so we may soon be revisiting his work again. I really enjoyed this story. It was just the right combination of weird and freaky. It's something I'm very fond of, as you may or may not have realized. I'm going to put a link to his page in the description, so if you'd like to give him a look, I'm sure he'd appreciate it. And please, say hi. I'm sure he'd like that. Let's go ahead and thank our sponsors before we go. Thanks to Leslie Lou Riddle for being our Spooky Skeleton tier contributor. Thanks, Leslie. And thanks to Glenn Jenkins for being our Ghost Rider tier contributor. Thanks, both of you. I just couldn't do the show without you, and I appreciate you every day. If you'd like to support the show too, come on down to Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can join Leslie Lou Riddle in our Spooky Skeleton tier army, and have your name read out at the end of every TikTok and every YouTube video that I make. Contributors also have the option to submit a story for me to read on my Monday stories, which is what you're reading now, so come on down, get your story in early. I'd love to read it. Consider maybe heading over to Amazon and buying a book too. We're on Dark Vortex for our Wednesday stories, so you could go ahead and read along with us. It'd be like a little book club. I'm feverishly working on putting some merch together, maybe some t-shirts or something, so maybe soon you can own your own Dr. Plague t-shirt. Wouldn't that be great? I'm sure while bedecked in my shiny masked face, you'd be the life of any party. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.